Human.
Jim is crazy.
You lucky suckers.
Free agency never fails on the Quasi train.
What in the ham fat is going on with you guys?
PA? Well, it probably goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't like you.
Ooh.
Alan, you are a nut job.
And welcome to a TCO PC Tuesday. It is 9 to noon. Yours truly, Paul Allen, producer Nordo here. Brett Blakemore guides the Great Ship Love Covenant. We are at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center for our Tuesday stop at the TCO radio studio. And Minnesota Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell, per usual on Tuesdays, joins at 11 o'clock. Speaking of head coaches, let's begin with one of our very favorites, Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And this is courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and 2harvest.org. Coach Finch, Paul Allen, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, how you doing, PA?
Pretty good. I have some good news for you, and it's basketball, but non-basketball related. I figured you needed it, and I'll explain that momentarily. So 9 to noon here at the Fan, we do a show called the Friday Football Feast, where we're at a Buffalo Wild Wings each and every Friday during the football season. We have a fantasy football component, part of the show, like half a segment, and a group called Fantasy Cares, fantasycares.org, led by a guy named Scott Fish. That they came to us at the Friday Football Feast, and for all the points we're amassing, three of us, they're giving $50 a point. So, for instance, my group has 54 points, which means $2,700 is heading the way of Second Harvest Heartland as of now, and we still have 4 weeks to go. So, if I can get hot with wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, and quarterbacks, that means Second Harvest Heartland will continue to attain this philanthropic money from fantasycares.org. Pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. We really appreciate that support. I'll tell you what, I'll match every dollar that your team contributes to Second Harvest in that effort.
Hold on. Covenant claps, everybody. Are you kidding me? He didn't even know this was coming, and he offered that up. Yeah, so we're all right. Well, we're on wide receivers this week. I don't know. First wide receiver that comes to your mind that you think is going to have a big touchdown scoring week this week. And let's eliminate Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Antonio Brown, and Devontae Smith. Two of my favorites, two of your favorites. So what do you think? Just any name.
For me, let's say Pickens with a big bounce back performance.
Oh, great. Right in the face of the Vikings on Sunday Night Football. I mean, you don't need to take that.
Didn't mean that.
Yeah, you didn't need to take that Suns loss out on the 9 to noon radio show with Pickens right in our face on Sunday Night Football. You know what? That's the first name you said, so we're going to go with George Pickens. And once again, Covenant claps for Finchy. Second Harvest Heartland, 2harvest.org. We're at $2,700 into the season. He's going to match it. Fantasycares.org. Thank you very much. Good just keeps getting better. That's really cool. And I figured you needed the good news out of the gate. I mean, you're 15-9. It's not a bad record. But nevertheless, figured you needed the good news off the loss to the Suns. Then you get home and start to chill, watch overtime football, and your Eagles lose. It was just a rough night for our Finchy last night.
Yeah, it was a rough night. I mean, it was a game that we we needed to win it, but we kind of just, the Gobert ejection certainly hurt us. We didn't shoot the ball well from the perimeter. All credit to the Suns. They did what they did, and we weren't able to measure up. So disappointing one last night, but we gotta get back in the saddle this weekend. Kind of an odd time of the year in the schedule because of the NBA Cup. So we really do get a couple practice days this week, which is, I think, exactly what we need to try to find a few things in our offense that have been lacking. And try to get build a new little streak here.
Yeah, I've read you saying this and heard it in your press conferences, and you've said it here about developing good habits, just developing habit after habit after habit. That's good. And last night was strange because it was another game for me. And I joked with you about this last week. I think it was that first New Orleans game. I thought you had those guys every step of the way. Despite some shoddy shooting, Rudy gets ejected. You're 26% from three. The 26% from three, that kind of foiled you last night, didn't it?
It did. I mean, and we had good looks by good shooters who have been shooting the ball well so far for us this season. But sometimes that's going to happen. But have them all kind of pile up on us with a bunch of subpar performances, that definitely hurt. But we got to find other ways to win games like that.
Yeah, and with the perpetual slow starts, granted you've come back and won a fair amount of them. That I would imagine that's a habit with practice time, but that's a habit you want to break, right?
Oh, no doubt about it. It's something that we've discussed. I mean, it was, I think Julius may have said it in his post-game press conference, that we kind of got what we deserved there because at some point in time it was going to catch up to us. And I think we never fell behind, big like we had in other slow starts. It's still a good team. Phoenix is a very good team, having an outstanding season, and they have a strong identity. They play to it every single night, and those types of teams are not going to just kind of let you back in the game easily.
Maybe you happen to remember the Kobe Bryant story from Lower Marion High School? God rest the soul of Kobe, but I don't know. Maybe they're big Kobe Bryant fans, and they're like purposely getting behind so they can come steaming back and win it in dramatic fashion. That'd be a bad habit, but Kobe used to do that. Remember that?
Well, it seems like the life we've been living recently. So, the wins are great, but, we're not playing our best basketball right now. We got to figure out how to get that, back to doing that. So.
Anthony got to the basket when he wanted, mostly, and it didn't seem like, I'm not trying to be Jack Ramsey here, but it didn't seem like the doubles on him were as voluminous as some other games. He was 12 of 14 from 2. He and Julius go 5 of 11 from 3. But first, with Anthony getting to the basket effortlessly, are there times that you just want to unleash him because they had minimal chance of stopping him off the dribble?
Yeah, he didn't face a lot of double teams last night. Maybe a few here and there in spot situations. He was able to kind of get to wherever he wanted to go last night. Shot the ball well from the mid range. He got to the basket. His shot selection was pretty high level last night for me. He mixed it up well. I'd still like to see him kind of commit to a few more threes a game. I think that are there for him. But yeah, all in all, I thought he, played a really good offensive game last night.
Yeah, and what I was getting at there is that, if you unleash Anthony and he constantly goes to the basket, then ball could get sticky, could be a little ball hog to it. But it's with Phoenix. I just wonder with the lack of doubles, is that like scheme? In other words, this guy's going to get us from 2, but your other guys are cold from 3, so we're going to let him shoot those threes until they get hot. Did they do that last night?
I'm not sure that was their intent. I thought, they try to switch a lot to slow you down on the perimeter for sure. They generally collapse pretty well around the ball, certainly around your main guys like Julius and Anthony. And I thought those guys created a lot of good shots for their teammates, and we just didn't connect on them. And we had some big ones in the heart of the game at the end there that we really needed to go in that didn't go in. But yeah, I mean, that's generally, they're more of a pressure team than they are a double team. And, with a lot of their injuries that they have, they weren't able to extend the pressure like they normally do.
What's the preach to Rudy after the forearm to Mark Williams' ribs and the ejection?
Well, I mean, I'll start by saying this. Like, I feel Rudy's frustrations, obviously. Like, you got to keep your emotions under control. A couple plays later, he just got whacked in the head. I think, having watched it now for 3+ seasons, I'm not sure there's many players in the league, rather, that have a piece taken out of them nearly every single time down the floor than Rudy. I think he gets cheap shotted a lot. I think he gets held a lot. I think he gets hit in the head and the face a lot. And, oftentimes we're told, oh, that's incidental contact. Oh, that's part of the game, et cetera. Well, while it might be, it can't all be the way. And I would say too, sometimes you get frustrated, frustrated with some people taking swings at you all the time, and you don't get the protection that you need. And, so he's been a little bit frustrated with that, I think, this year. I didn't think that play warranted an ejection. I thought it was, by all means a flagrant 1, but a flagrant 2, I didn't see that in it. I didn't see any wind-up. I didn't see any extension. I saw a forearm to the ribs to a guy who was, elevated, which I can understand why that would be flagrant 1, but I did not see flagrant 2 in that call.
After Williams went to swiping and hit Rudy in the head, Gobert showed good restraint. I mean, because he popped up and he wanted to go, but he showed good restraint there, but then just couldn't hold it, when Williams went to the basket, right?
Yeah, I think so. And then, in terms of wind up and intent, which is part of the criteria of assessing these things, I would say Williams had a lot more wind up and intent when he hit Rudy in the head than Rudy did when he hit him in the ribs.
Right. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and 2harvest.org. Chris is on the board. Referee Tyler Ford, I don't know how well you know him, but how about his explanations after the flagrants? I mean, he's like, you ask Tyler what time it is, he's going to tell you how the watch was built.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's become a bit of a thing, these post-review explanations, have become a bit of a thing. There's a few referees around the league who are getting known for it. Honestly, I think it's a bad look. Make the call, get away from the monitor, and let's move the game along. That's really where it should be.
And too bad with that Rudy ejection too, man. He had 15 and 8. And 5 offensive rebounds, before he got tossed. Yeah. And after that, in what ways did Phoenix take advantage of being around the rim and getting to the rim after Rudy's exclusion?
Well, they did a good job of finding Williams down there in the dunker spot when they would penetrate. The deterrence, I think, with Rudy on the floor is much higher. Maybe they don't even go. But I thought where it really may have hurt us is offensively. We were dominating them on the offensive glass. Rudy was headed for a big game. I thought we really could have used his presence on the offensive end as much as the defensive end.
You dusted off Bones Highland last night. Bones Highland. What'd you like?
Yeah, it was, I said about 25 games in, and it's time to, shuffle it up a little bit. Bones has been really patient, and reality is you can't play all these guys all the time. So sometimes you take a pass and you see it out and you see what happens, and then Bones has certainly deserved his chance to play now, and he responded with good scoring. We need some scoring, we need some shooting, we need some handling, we need everything that he can give us. And you saw that last night, in 15 minutes of play. So it was good to see. I was happy for him, and hopefully we can build on that.
Anthony Edwards seems to enjoy playing with Bones Highland. Is that accurate?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Bones has got a great energy. I think a lot of his teammates enjoy playing with him.
For Phoenix, no Booker, no Devin Booker. Does that change? How does that change the way they play?
Well, I mean, they play very similar, and all credit to Booker for having kind of adopted and folded into this new style of play, which they're playing. It's less ISO driven. It's certainly less star driven, because they just don't have that component to their roster. They play a lot more up tempo. They move the ball quicker. Their decision making is quicker. Certainly Booker is at the heart of a lot of that, but where they're going to miss the most, or where they do miss the most, is kind of on demand scoring and in clutch game scoring. Now against us, he fouled out in game one. They were able to get the money, as you say, by making big shots down the stretch. In game two, they did the same thing. So, in that regard, they haven't missed him against us in 2 games. But of course, he's a great player. You're always gonna miss those guys. So.
Right. With back to Bones for a second. With Bones Highland, is part of this you're not only looking for bench scoring or scoring, especially during the night where you guys just weren't hitting as many shots as you normally hit, but with Bones. Are you looking for a spark or consistency at the point guard spot?
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. I mean, we need off the bench scoring, playmaking, all the things that he can do. And he's got some, he's been in the league now a number of years. He's got enough experience that he kind of can figure out things and fit right into it. He knows who he is right now, who he needs to be for us. But yeah, if Nas hasn't been scoring for us off the bench, then our bench scoring is very kind of inconsistent.
Suns coach Jordan Ott, a Pennsylvania native. Do you know the guy at all?
I do not.
Yeah, he and I'll watch the Suns every so often with Booker or without, and it's without Devin, they lack star power, as you said, but he has those guys playing hard. He has them playing a scrappy brand of basketball, doesn't he?
He does. He's done a great job of coming in and kind of changing the style of play and the way they play, and he's got a bunch of guys that are super hungry, and just maximizing his roster right now.
Hey, last one. Thanks for the time. Jaden McDaniels,
yeah,
what do you think happened last night? 40 minutes, 1 of 7 shooting, after really, really playing well during that 5-game winning streak.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Sometimes you're going to have these games, but I think the biggest thing is we got to get him more shots than just 7. I think if we got to get him up 10, 12 shots at least a game. And he generally gets those shots in a variety of ways. He's one of our best transition players. We didn't really create enough transition opportunities last night. I thought the kick-out game was inconsistent at times throughout the game. It got better, but yeah, we just got to find a way to get him more shots in the flow of our offense. When we do, 2 things happen. He plays really, really well, and we play really, really well. And we got to always remember that.
I appreciate you, man. Go win at Golden State Friday. Yep. We'll be pulling for you from afar, okay?
All right. Thanks, PA. Take care.
Yep. See you about Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, part of the Timber Check What's on Deck set list. A couple of things right now. First and foremost, I just opened the tweet machine. Do you remember that time when I was in Key West and you had to call me and say, Paul, that tweet on which you just opined that you thought was from Adam Schefter was a fake tweet?
Yeah, it was from Adam Schefter.
Thank you. So then Adam Spleefter. So then I immediately deleted it. So before I click on this, Colts bring back 44-year-old Phillip Rivers amid quarterback injuries.
He did a workout last night.
Okay, so that's not an Adam Spleefter?
No, that's a real thing that's happening.
So bringing back as opposed to signing and going with, Well, those are two different things, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, what I read yesterday
Holy cow.
is because, and I forget, is it Riley Leonard?
Yeah.
I think is the backup QB.
Yep.
And so he's dealing with an injury. I think this is a combination of the team seeing if he can actually do it, and then him deciding if he actually wants to do it.
Yeah.
So but it is actually a real thing. Phillip Rivers worked out with the Colts, I believe, last night.
Mm-hmm.
So you did not get Adam Schefter or Spleeftered or any of that. That's real news. That's
Right.
actually happening.
Yeah.
In the 2025 season.
And when we completed the 9 to nooner yesterday, something popped about the Colts considering talking to him. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But now the bringing back, wow, holy cow, desperate times call for desperate measures. All right. And secondly, Chris Finch, thank you very much, ma'am. It's the Friday Football Feast IHOP segment in honor of Paul, where we just started with, we just started a little baby fantasy game with Nordo, Alec, and yours truly. And then fantasycares.org stepped up last week and said, we want to give $50 per point to each of your teams. And I think it's like 54, 52, 40 right now. So.
Well, you got one. You had Kincaid, right? I thought Kincaid got a touchdown.
Did he? I thought I scratched it off of him because you guys scared me he was going to be questionable.
Oh, who'd you end up going with then?
I couldn't remember, but
well, I
thought it was Warren.
Here's the cool thing. Maybe it was Warren. We'll have to go back and listen to it. Trey McBride. Mm-hmm. So that I felt like 7 touchdowns in 7 straight games.
Yeah.
That in his last 7, that was going to be as can't miss as it gets. Mm-hmm. Now they were absolutely just blown out by the Rams this weekend.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about this is now that there's actually guys, I've said actually about 50 times in the last 2 minutes here. Now that there's a charity element to this, I found myself, you had Bears Packers and that felt like a playoff game. I was watching this Rams Cards game and begging Jacoby Brissett to stop throwing it to the other team. Yeah. Stop throwing it. Was it Michael Wilson or whoever the heck it is?
Oh, geez.
I was actually watching. There we go again.
Okay.
I was watching this blowout game.
Let's stop being wound up over a word in the English language because you're not using it like Ava, Stella, or my daughter Nicole. Actually?
Yeah, I know.
Actually, Dad? So, yeah, you're using it in context, and it's fine. I think I've used the word the 95 times so far, so continue.
I needed McBride to get into the end zone, and that's the cool part about this. The charity's behind it.
Actually, Nordo?
And now I'm finding myself begging for the Cardinals in just a complete fleeting effort, late stages of a season where they're a 3 or 4 win team, and where's Kyler and Jacoby Brissett throwing it to the wrong guys. I love that we're able to do this, and just big props to Scott Fish for and Fantasy Cares for supporting it.
I just listened to the whole thing back. Yes, I did have Dalton Kincaid, so that gives me 60 points.
That's great.
Which means it is great.
That's the thing. It is great
because it's another $300 to Second Harvest Heartland. When you get hot next week, I think with wide receivers.
Oh, there we go.
Feed My Starving Children is going to philanthropically profit.
Yes.
And the Kyrie Jackson Fund for Foundation for young Alec.
Gosh, that Pickens pick kind of makes sense, but I can't do it.
I have to.
Or I can do it.
Well, no, I have to now. I asked Finchy, give me a wide receiver, which I put him on the spot, when he's thinking about, like Royce O'Neal getting to the basket, dunking, no stifle to block the shot because he stifled Mark Williams' ribs with a little forearm shiver. So
he probably didn't have the Vikings schedule in front of him, did he?
No.
Or is he that diabolical after a tough loss to the Suns?
No, he's just thinking of that's why I started with this today with Finchy, with the fantasycares.org, Second Harvest Heartland. He's on the board. That's my selected charity with fantasycares.org. And thank you again, Scott Fish. But I think he was just he was brain boggled by Stifel's ejection.
Yeah.
By the Suns getting to the basket with players nobody's ever heard of, like Ryan Dunn. And then he gets home and he's like, well, at least my Eagles are going to get their 9th victory. And then Jalen throws 4 picks and they lose in OT to Dicker the kicker.
I think he had 2 turnovers on the same play.
What?
Yeah, there was
Hurts?
a moment he threw a pick, and then I believe that was fumbled, and he may have turned it over a second time within the same sequence.
So he's pear-shaped.
That whole thing, and you nailed it though off air. You're just like they just need to. You actually did, I think.
Actually, Dad,
they want to get they just want to get to the postseason.
Yeah, but see
But you mess around though,
but that's analogous to the Timberwolves, and a common thread last year I had with Finch, and a common thread this year I've had with Finchy that I don't really want to get into today, but it's with the Timberwolves. They just look like they think they have some push button to them, where we're going to push the button, we're going to win all the right games, get to the Western Conference Finals, see what happens there.
How would you approach that with them, though? I think that would be difficult because in some way, I mean, that is an indictment of the mentality of the team. If it is a situation in which, whether it's Ant, I mean, the lack of a point guard, you love the 40-point performances, but he also, you would say the ball could get sticky once in a while with him.
I botched that question, but I think you knew what I meant.
The inconsistent play of the Jaden McDaniels of this roster, and you're begging for that consistency there. That'd be a tough topic to broach with him, I think, in terms of the push button nature of it.
But if you and I were just chatting, about the Anthony bit that I kind of botched because I couldn't read my handwriting with Finchy, was basically like, bro, I would just let Anthony beat everybody off the dribble, get to the basket every single time until they find a way to stop it. However, if you do that, then Julius and McDaniels and DiVincenzo and everybody be like, what happened? How come I never get to touch the ball? This guy's touching it every time and he's never passing. See, that'd be like the way I'd want to say it, but you can't say that. You can't say it that way to Finchy.
Well, when Jaden's scoring 25 points and he's active defensively and all of those things, you absolutely love it. But then you see nights like last night where we're 1 of 7. I wish he took 6 fewer shots. Yeah. I would have liked to see Ant get those extra opportunities. Go for 50. Go for 60. Just let her rip on a night like he potentially could have had last night.
Yeah, they couldn't stop him off the dribble. Then they started to double. He would kick, and the others missed threes. Like again, Anthony and Randall were 5 of 11 from 3. DiVincenzo, Mike Conley, Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, et al. They were just terrible. I mean, not bad, terrible from 3-point range, and the Timberwolves lost a close one. But thank you, Chris. More money coming the way of Second Harvest Heartland and 2harvest.org. Actually, Dad. All right, we're at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, TCO Studios, and courtesy of TimberTech, timbertech.com. What's on deck 9 to noon includes Vikes Bites around the corner. After that, Anthony Barr, former game-changing linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings. He'll join about 20 minutes from now. Ran into Anthony at the Life Changer Sunday at the Palatial Purple Paradise. So he's on the radio show today to talk about myriad things. AB, Anthony Barr, 9:45. The Scribe about 10 o'clock. Then the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, for X's and O's at 11 o'clock. And we could use a talkback for that. Go to the free iHeart Audio Radio Media app and leave a talkback for head coach Kevin O'Connell. And we definitely will be playing back one during the course of the 11 o'clock jaunt today. Brett Blakemore guides the great ship Love Covenant from FM 100.3 KFAN. We welcome Double B to the equation. Overjoyed, undoubtedly, with the Wild stopping a 2-game losing streak last night and smacking the Kraken 4-1. Nordo's the on-site producer, and I'm Paul Allen. You're listening to 9 to noon at FM 100.3 KFAN.
Fans, this is your season to experience the energy, the GOATs, the unforgettable moments at Grand Casino Arena, and get your tickets now, including to Wild Stars December 11th, Wild Capitals December 16th, wild.com/tickets to cheer on the Wild this season, wild.com/tickets.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. It is Vikes Bites.
Vikes Bites.
Brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef.
Brett Blakemore.
You can shop online. Box of Meat shows up at your doorstep. Local Coburns and Kowalski's locations. Co-ops, they are proud sponsors of Gophers Athletics as well. You know, I say shop local. They're a Clearwater, Minnesota company, but they actually provide awesome product, too, which you'll love. So check out Thousand Hills. And we love seeing steps forward for the quarterback. The thing I'm pondering, and we'll hear a bit of it, I assume, with Kevin O'Connell joining us at 11 o'clock, is kind of what's next in the what's next plan. So you come off this 31-0 shutout. It's, the terminology we've heard, kind of the simplification of the offense. And the coach was talking about it himself yesterday. Lack of explosives, but seeing efficiency offensively. So I'm just curious, under the bright lights of Dallas on Sunday night, how quickly do you start to push the pedal down on the kid again? Because as we did the dissection and the anatomy of a drive yesterday, the 19-play marathon drive, and it was beautiful, and it ended with a Jordan Mason touchdown. As enamored as we are with that, the offense is begging to stretch it out, and the long-term growth of this process is getting the kid more confident in the pocket and finding those opportunities downfield. I just wonder, what's next in the what's next plan? Do you ponder that at all, PA?
No, not really. Earlier in the season, I did, because I would watch things back and I would see exactly what you were talking about. But I also would see sacks or players missed or things that just weren't able to be accomplished for whatever the reason. The multiple 22 offensive line combinations played into that. So now in watching this one back, I didn't see a dramatic amount different when it comes to downfield routes, because it just, things are so layered with football plays where, for instance, in the Seahawks game, the Seahawks game, there were three players, Jefferson, Addison, and I think Naylor, who purposely ran straight down the field, like 30, 40 yards down the field, and they were never getting the ball. C.J. Ham was going to get it after chipping an offensive lineman, and it was a third and very long, but I think he could have run for 15 to 20, and he ran, and somebody ran into him, so it kind of took him off the bit, and it blew the play up. So there you see players running down the field, and perhaps your discernment gets you to, well, they're still going down the field. Why aren't we throwing it that far down the field? Well, it's clear that was not the play design on that play. The Addison play that we talked about yesterday during the 19 and 98, and I'll bring up today with O'Connell, that is such a positive step for J.J. McCarthy and downfield striking. Went for 21 yards. But clean pocket, everybody fanned to the outside, quarterback stepped up, quarterback fired, and it went for 21 yards. And it was a long throw from the right side over to the left sideline. So I'm just looking for the incremental steps taken with what you're talking about. Jefferson with, you think downfield, and it may not necessarily be the proverbial bomb, but Jefferson can catch it at 15 or 20 and turn it into 50, 60, or 70. Yeah. Well, clearly that's not happening. 4 catches, 15 yards in the last 2 games. So it's just incrementally watching the development of your A-topic through us being cows, running away from the storm and subsequently getting toppled, or being the bison and running into it so we can just get through it quicker, but it may be a little more painful. Through all of that, the A topic, as you repeatedly say, is the development of this quarterback.
Yes.
And following the nuance of this quarterback to see what improves specifically on a game-by-game basis. The pocket awareness and stepping up in a perfect pocket. I loved it from last game. Let's do it again Sunday night.
Vikes.
And I think that'll lead to Brett, it's not Vikes bite. Stop that, you snot-nosed kid. It's Vikes bites. And I do think that incrementally will give them opportunities to get down the field, though.
I like that. The left guard, Donovan Jackson. I saw this quote yesterday from the KO presser. Mm-hmm. Donovan Jackson is playing through an injury that might have held others out for a couple weeks. He would not be denied playing in the football game, doing everything he possibly could. 2 angles to this, like, what's up with this wrist, and then the ankle thing. So a couple of nick-up injuries. We know a lot of guys play hurt over the course of a football football season. Any overarching opinions as we close out his rookie campaign? Donovan Jackson, first-round pick. I really felt like this was a guy that that you could plug in and was kind of a home run in totality. Some ups and downs for him and pass protection and such. I've really liked what Donovan Jackson has brought to the moving company when he's on the field.
And it's clear the head coach likes that. When he says what he said yesterday, and that's part of the KO mix an hour and a half from now, praising Donovan Jackson for playing through pain and caring.
Yeah.
Well, when he presents it the way he did, it is fair for people to read between the lines, in my estimation, and wonder, all right, where are you sending that message? But it's unfair to implicate anybody if you don't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
So that's the best way I can frame that up. When coaches talk like that, they know everybody's going to hear it.
Yeah.
And they know that potentially a message has been sent. But the question is, what is the message and to whom? But I love Donovan. When we started the drive-bys, I was going to go down the road with him of, man, I mean, I know you're playing through pain right now, but I couldn't figure out how to get there, so then I just turned it into Duran Payne. But he, this is somebody who played with a broken wrist, basically refused to step away, and they're like, no, you're not playing with this. We're going to fix it, then you come back. They hit on that first rounder. He's good now. He's going to be a lot better moving forward.
As Vikes Bites, has Eric Wilson, and maybe a guy who played with him next segment, Anthony Barr probably knows a little bit about Eric Wilson.
Yeah.
Has Eric Wilson played himself into a spot as he enters free agency? We're re-signing this cat, tied for the lead, I think, on the team with sacks, 5.5.
15 tackles for loss, which is number one on the team.
Has he played himself into a spot where maybe re-signing him is actually, Dad, an off-season priority for the Purple? I kind of think he has.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a little bit of late because I think he's coming up to his 10th year. He's either in his 10th or he's coming up to it. And Barr did play 4 seasons with Wilson. And Anthony is all over praising Eric Wilson right now. That's kind of what triggered the chat coming up in about 8 minutes.
Oh, cool.
Was us chatting about Eric Wilson. E-Will, as he calls him the other day. That's tricky because Eric, with what he got on this 1-year deal coming from Green Bay, they brought him here as and I'm certainly not speaking for the team, but just looking at the way things laid out in training camp and early, kind of a linebacker-related insurance plan.
Yes.
But somebody very good on special teams and gets things all squared away on special teams. Well, Ivan Pace Jr. barely can get on the field now because Wilson ain't coming off the field. And these tackles for loss, I mean, that tenacity that he shows to get off blocks and get guys behind the line of scrimmage, it's a work of art. It's that of ferocity and tenacity and caring. And he's going to finish the season with more than 20 tackles for loss. His 15 this year is more than he's had in the last 5 years. Sheesh. So, yeah, he's on fire. He's played himself into a fair amount of cash. Question is, do they have the cash to re-sign him? What will it take and how long? That all will be solved in the offseason, the con.
And that's Vikes Bites, as we want to pause and we want to hear from Anthony Barr for a little Covenant catch-up with him. And Vikes Bites always brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef.
Beefy. Yep, AB. The AB joins 9 to noon around the corner on FM 100.3 KFAN. Here comes Anthony Barr, a former game-changing linebacker for Mike Zimmer's Vikings, starting back in 2014. And Anthony Barr joins 9 to noon now. Follow him via X if you are so inclined, at Anthony Barr. And 5'5", as he wore here, is on the 9 to noon show. Anthony, it's Paul Allen. Great chatting with you. What's going on?
PA, my guy. What is the word? How we doing?
Hey, man, it was great seeing you this weekend. I see you got that Barry White voice working early on a Southern California morning, sneaking up on 8 a.m. SoCal time, 10 o'clock Cornfields time. Let me ask you this. Did you change your Twitter handle? And if so, why? Because I could swear that thing used to be like at the AB or something.
Yeah, that was early on, probably my second year, I think. Vikings media came up to me, or somebody came up to me and suggested it, just saying it'd be much easier to find you if you just place your normal name. And I was like, oh, well, if you say so.
But maybe you didn't want to be found.
Yeah, I guess Twitter's not a place to be if you don't want to be found. But we kept it simple.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful with stuff like that. I mean, with all due respect, because like there were X amount of years ago, your former teammate, who, for all of his career, we would call Xavier Rhodes. But then we caught word, I think directly from Rhodes's like family or parents, that his first name is actually Xavier Rhodes. Well, when he went from Xavier to Xavier, the whole game fell off. I mean, it was, it's like, who is this? I mean, Xavier Rhodes shuts down OBJ on Sunday Night Football and throws him into the bench. So you got to be careful with stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
You, by the way, when I saw you, you and Audie Cole, former linebacker for the Vikings, you guys picked a good one to attend Sunday. It was great seeing you, but, holy cow. How about that shutout victory?
Man, they showed up. They played well. Offense was decisive, moving the ball down the field. Defense was doing what they've pretty much been doing all season, And then special teams. And I think that was the big, the phase that's kind of been struggling maybe the most. And they played a good game. So it was a good, well-rounded team victory, and it was good to get back in the win column.
The genesis for me requesting you come on the radio show was when you came up to the Vox box where we call the games. I mean, it was fleeting. Mm-hmm. It was a brief exchange, but I mean, after embracing, I was like, E-Will though, and then you opened your eyes and you knew I was talking about Eric Wilson. Now, Anthony played 4 seasons here with Eric Wilson, and Eric has a team high 15 tackles for loss at this stage of his career. I mean, it's a wonderful hit, not only in free agency, but at this point of his career, the way Eric's playing, what do you think?
Honestly, not too surprised. I think he's a guy that came in from Cincinnati undrafted, and he just always had his hard hat, always got to work. And then when he got his chances to play like significant game time, he always performed. I think I was out, maybe it was a 2020 season or one of the seasons out. I missed a few games, and he was just doing his thing, sacks, picks, and it's just kind of what he does. It's not too surprising, I think, for me, just because I've seen him do it, but it's just the opportunity. I think that's everything about this league is getting a chance, and then when you get your chance, what are you going to do with it? And he's one of those guys that always takes advantage of his opportunities, and it's great to see because he's such a good dude, good person, great football player, great family, and so it's always good to see him have success. I'm very happy for him.
And it just shows you, I mean, how different football can be compared to other sports. I mean, like John Randall, the greatest one of the greatest 3 techniques in the history of the game, Hall of Famer. I mean, he's undrafted, and then he ends up having a career like that. Wilson's undrafted, and he's had himself a nice career here and with Green Bay, making it about a decade. But now you get an opportunity. They believe in you, where it's like, people can focus on whatever negative they want. So they could be like, maybe it was like this when Eric came into the league and you were on the team. Like, all right, well, his pass coverage and his drops and things like that. Yeah, you just don't know if we can trust it. But then he'd come into the game and he'd force a fumble, or he'd get a sack, or a massive tackle for loss, or a tip pass at the line of scrimmage, like you said. But it now here for the first time with Flores, with the way they work things here, clearly it's conducive to his success, but you know what? He has to come through with it. So, he has to study it and come through with it and get off these blocks. And definitely in the second half of his career, he's absolutely sitting on the biggest contract he's ever gotten, right?
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, I would really hope so. He deserves it. He's earned it. And I would love to see him stay in purple. I think he's been arguably the best player on the team this year. If you go up and down the roster and you look at guys who've been performing well, there's other guys who've been playing good too. Redmond's, another guy you could talk about, but we're talking about just a guy that's been showing up week in and week out and has performed at a high level, and the stats kind of back it up, and he passes the eye test. I don't know why you would let some guy like that, a guy like that leave your building, especially with how he is in the locker room as well. He's a great locker room guy, and he's playing all the special teams still, playing 60 snaps a game. So it's one of those guys you don't want to let go and lose because of what he kind of brings culturally and what he brings on the field.
Anthony, I think when you stepped away from the game, I think one of the first things you probably said, I don't remember it, but by faith, I'm going to roll with it, that hey, what's something you're going to miss about the game? And generally, most people would be like the locker room, the friendships, the camaraderie, the private conversation. Well, that's the case for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, amongst other things, I think, obviously the game itself is missed to an extent, but the relationships are for sure what kind of last longer than obviously your career, and there are things that you remember, kind of hang on to, and kind of can point to as kind of core memories. But also the competitiveness, the competing, going out there and playing against. Playing a kid's game against grown men and being able to line up and hit somebody without any repercussion. It's accumulation of things that you miss. But when you talk about, just being in the locker room and being around the guys, that definitely is something that stands out.
Well, the reason I brought it up, because when I saw you were with, former linebacker Audie Call. And when it comes to the camaraderie and the friendship that you guys would have, that really nobody would know about unless you're at events like it had me think about the Chad Greenway Monday night charity events where Audie Call, Eric Kendricks, Mike Motti, and Andrew Sendejo, and Harrison Smith. I mean, and Harrison's young in his career, man. And you guys would come in there to Manny's and just steal the show. It's like Andrew Sendejo's America's best friend, but you, Motti, and Audie Cole. I mean, you guys were really close.
Yeah, boys, we ran deep, man. We did almost everything together. From off-season hangouts to in season. Being in the locker room at all, together all throughout the week. So. Yeah, those are guys that, I've been in their weddings, I've seen their kids. I'm over playing out. Audie has his fourth on the way, and I was over at Harry's house playing with his oldest son. So it's kind of cool. It's a full circle moment, really, and it's good to keep those relationships. And like I said earlier, they're not just good players, but just really good people and people that you really enjoy and want to be around.
This is Anthony Barr, at Anthony Barr via X, former Vikings linebacker. Played for the Dallas Cowboys for a fleeting moment. Who's the best quarterback with whom you played during your career? Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, or other?
Yeah, I would say probably other. Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to either of those guys. I think right now Dak's probably playing the best out of everybody, but the quarterback, I think, was my personal opinion. I think Case Keenum, man, he was just the perfect fit for that season and a half or however long he was starting. Obviously, Teddy was, a lot of love for him coming in the same draft class as him and kind of growing up, and obviously his devastating, career-altering injury kind of changed his compass a little bit. But in regards to just just being a gamer and showing up and playing ball, Case was one of those guys that it seemed like he was just playing in the backyard at all times. And they did it with such a smile, such a spirit, an infectious attitude, that he was one of my favorites to play with. And he was arguably, that season that he had, season and a half, 2 years, whatever it was just a great run. And it was really fun to be a part of.
Are you following Danielle Hunter and those Houston Texans?
Oh yeah, I mean, Daniel's he's just nasty. He just never stops. We all know how he was here, but it doesn't really seem to matter what colors he's wearing. He's a problem for anybody.
During just a couple to close here for AB Anthony Barr, super cool that he got up early to join 9 to noon. During the shutout at Seattle, all right, Vikings get shut out at Seattle. Anthony offered a quote safe space for grieving fans, end quote, on X. I mean, I went back reading through that thing last night. I mean, you were responding to everybody, and there were several that jumped out. All right, with Dallas Turner, you wrote, "When patience meets confidence meets opportunity." He's 22 years old. You started your career at 22 years old. How tough is it at that age versus these grown men veterans?
Yeah, I think it's more than that, though. It's deeper than the physical side. It's the mental aspect, and I'm sure what he's being asked to do, some of the stuff he's been asked to do, and flow system is something he's never done before. And it was similar to my kind of first season playing with them. I never played off the ball linebacker. I was on the ball linebacker my whole a career in college. So when you're switching positions and you're asked to have your eyes in different places and dissect plays differently, and it's not just, okay, you're going to rush the passer, go forward and go straight and make a guy miss. There's a lot that you have to process as a young player, and it comes with experience. You're not going to be, some guys can, show up right away and have success immediately, but some guys need some time to kind of get their feet under them. And, now this is the second year now, and I think he's starting to find his footing, and he's playing with confidence, which is the biggest key in the NFL. Everybody, you need to think you're the best player at all times, so you're not going to have much success. And then the coaching staff has been patient with him, and now he's getting more opportunities to go and play his game, and you're kind of seeing all that come to fruition. So it's really cool to kind of see how he's evolved in his success over the last year and a half.
Well, I love that. And kind of in the same vein, because he's 22 years of age, and I think just a little bit older than J.J. McCarthy, or a little younger than, they're both 22 years of age, all right? It's just weird. I mean, J.J. McCarthy's 10 days younger than my daughter. And he took a step Sunday, but that's what it was. It was a step. And next season is going to be very important for him. But another part of that safe space tweeting that you went nuts with a couple of Sundays ago was, and it's hard to frame it up with talking about franchise that drafted him, having to keep believing in him through next year, where there will be some road bumps, most likely, but that's such a big key. The franchises not giving up on certain things simply because it's not working on their timeline. Now, I don't believe that'll be a problem here, but you're dead right with that when you tweeted that, man.
Yeah, I think especially with the young quarterback, obviously the confidence is a big thing, and having that experience. But I forget who's been talking about it. Maybe Tom Brady mentioned it, a couple of years ago, just how quickly teams kind of move on from young quarterbacks, and how a lot of young quarterbacks aren't panning out the way that they maybe should, or people thought they should, just because they're not kind of given that time. And we understand that it's a win now type of league, and the expectations are to go out and win football games. And if you have a guy that's not performing the way you are expecting, then something's going to have to make, you want to make some type of change. And not everything needs to be a drastic change. And I think the Vikes being patient with him and allowing him to kind of have his struggles, that's only going to be better, only going to benefit him. Maybe it'll shake his confidence a little bit, but you have to let him go and get those game experience, get those game reps, and fail. Like, failure is, it's not as the negative thing as everyone makes it out to be. Like, you kind of need to fail, and whether it's in football, whether it's in life, like that sets kind of the table for success. And the only way you're going to have success is through failure. So it was really cool to see him go out and play well Sunday. Kept it, relatively simple, made quick throws, was on time, and then made some improv plays when he had to. Use his legs, which he's very good at. So, yeah, just give the guy some time. It's not what everyone wants. We don't want to be patient. We're not in a society where, we want everything right now. It's a kind of a now society that we're living in. But football is a whole different game. So I would continue to be patient with the kid. Let him do his thing, and who knows? Who knows what he's going to be? I don't. You don't. But give him a chance.
Oh, last one here, man. That one season with Dallas. Just one season, part of a season being there. What is it like being a Dallas Cowboy in the city of Dallas?
Yeah, it's different. It's a different. I had a good experience. I enjoyed my time there. I would say it didn't feel like football was always the number one priority in the building. There's a lot going on in that building. They share it with a few other companies. So when you're walking to your meetings or you're walking to lunch, you're walking by, random people that have nothing to do with the team. And it kind of feels like that takes away from like the sanctity of the core. It takes away from just kind of the pureness and how like precious being on a team is. That being said, the community treats, those players like rock stars, and you can do no wrong. And you have a lot of leeway. You have a long leash out there. But then at the end of the day, you're playing football. So it was a cool experience, something I'm glad I was able to have, something I still have relationships with guys on those teams, like Michael Parsons, talk to him often, and they're just good dudes. You go at any locker room, you're going to find a locker room full of good, solid people. That was the same in Dallas. I would just say the way the operation was a little different than what I was accustomed to coming from Minnesota, but not to say it's good or bad or indifferent. It was just kind of how they do things.
Hey, man, great catch up. Look forward to seeing you more. Come to more games, man. They shut out teams when you're there.
I'm happy.
Well, you should be there Sunday night. I mean, you should do the coin toss. Ladies and gentlemen, former Minnesota Viking and Dallas Cowboy Anthony Barr with the coin toss. That'd be sweet.
That'd be awesome, man. Thanks, PA, man. Always good catching up.
See you, bud. Anthony Barr, former linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings. Ben Gessling joins us next.